Hello and welcome to another installment of Comparative Reasoning. I'm your host, Sidra Kennedy, and today I'm going to be talking about curfew during protest. This just be my thoughts. So for those that need deeper meaning, clearly this is just my opinion. I will try not to give my end results, per se end results, as facts, but they are just simply what I think need to happen. And I'm going to start off by saying that curfews usually, they're usually enacted when there's too much going on. Initially, that's just for kids. It's for kids. It's just, look, get home. Get home by this time. Because after that time, that's when all the crazy start to come out. That's the point of it. And sometimes it's just wrapped in, you got to get in, you got to get undressed, bathed, and, calming down the whole time, and get to bed after getting some food. All this other stuff got to be done. Okay. That usually takes a while. That's about a 2 to 3 hour endeavor right there. So generally in the summer, it's like y'all need to be in by, like 7 or 8. That's back in the day. That was before my day. So there are times where there's military strikes. There are times you got to protect your stuff, mainly yourself. You can get your stuff back. So protecting your stuff is primarily protecting yourself first and foremost. You can't get your stuff if you dead. So corporations, buildings, mom and pop stores, stuff like that, they had curfews during war times when the war was brought to where you are. So yeah, they would say, look, most times the bombings take place around this time. So if the area is getting struck in general, probably about 8 o'clock, then curfew would be about 6:30 to 7 o'clock. And sometimes they push it for 7:30. That's how that would be. And curfew made sense. However, you get more modernized times, like, the riots, watch riots, all this other stuff. The protests, civil rights, all this other stuff. Curfew was not used to protect businesses. It was not used to protect storefronts and things like that. It was used to silence the protest. That's what curfews that's what it turned into. And it was like, look, get off the streets by this time. And they would do it at a time where, like, it would be somewhere in between starting at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon until about 9 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, it was like that. And there's no way you could do a protest when you can't be outside at those times. It's just not happening. So that was the whole point. It was to control the masses. Okay, let's speed up a little bit to gang violence. Gangs in New York, LA, in the Midwest, not so much the Southeast, not so much, and not so much the North Mid-East. Not so Midwest, east of the Midwest, a little bit. Yeah, that's where it was. Look, you got a curfew. Why? Because that would get the peaceful people off the streets first. So when the cops come out, they can tell who's not peaceable. So there were peaceful people that was coming home, getting there from their job and stuff like that, or from buying groceries, things like that, and they would get caught up in the mix. The cops would crack their heads, and that would be it. Kill them, shoot them. And I say that because you either kill them or they get shot, not die, but they would be definitely shot. Or just harassed or molested. That's what cops did. They was doing that egregious stuff back then. Lots of reports doing, the gang violent wars of the Bloods, the Crips, and they weren't even the mass height of it. They added to it, but they weren't all of it. There were subsidiary gangs, small ones. There were 5 and 10 crew people. And it was just, that's what that, I thought it was a good idea. That's at least how it was passed off. And it made sense. Now, that's not how it was used, as already spoken of, the abuse by the police and whatnot. So that's just how that went. And it wasn't right. Because, yes, you want to get the good people off the street, and then the only ones that's going to be out of those that absolutely got to defy curfew to get whatever, honestly, what drug deal or mode of revenge or plot, or just to say, screw you cops, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and I'm going to sit out here with my gun, I'm going to sit out here, and I mean literally in gang paraphernalia with the bandanas around the head, the mouth, or around the wrist or the arm. That's what they did, and you have to show your colors. So yeah, if you're out there looking like that, the cops, that's all they need. The curfew gave the cops every ability of search, seizure, attack on sight, and all that. Basically what the cops always enjoyed doing, but because of other protests that silenced that kind of abuse from cops, a little bit silenced it. They had the ability to go out and exercise it, and they were happy about it. So let's speed up to today. So today, what happens is now we have a curfew. And with that curfew, they want you to stay inside. They want you to get off the streets. They want you to stop protesting. It's not about so much the riots. No, the cops always initiate these riots. And no one just break out, I'm mad, and then they start fighting. It don't work that way. It don't. It ain't the Boondocks. It ain't like you throw a chair in the middle of a fight and it's like, or a protest, and someone's like, I'm mad now, and now we got to fight. That's not how it works. That's not it. So you have the protest. You've got cops coming in, cracking heads. People start to either run around, scared, screaming, citing their rights. That's just dumb. You're literally trying to tell the people that are vehemently and emotionally breaking the law to get what they want and crack your heads open. You're reciting to them what they can and cannot do. They already know that, and that's why they're doing what they shouldn't do. That's just it. And yes, there are cops that don't even know the law. They don't know much other than us versus them, and that's the club they want to be in the first place. So these protests, they make headway. They've made world news. They're being cited on Twitter all over the place and exposing the cops for what they're doing, exposing what the politicians are allowing the cops to do, but the politicians aren't taking any heat for it at all. They're not getting any protest. No, they simply will not enact the things that would actually end the protest. Those are the greatest enablers, the politicians. All of your governors, all of your mayors, all of the people in the Senate, all the lawmakers, all of that, the policymakers, lawmakers, and whatnot, those are the ones that do it. And the most people that wrote the laws and came up with laws are corporations anyway. They're not being targeted. So these protests are loud. I don't want them to be wasted. I don't want people to waste their time and their energy. I want them to focus on the things that's going to actually help. And the curfew is to aid in the not helping part. The curfew is to get you off the street and make sure that you can't say anything for some hours. Go home, go to sleep, cool off, maybe have, level head. See, the truth is, scary part is, they know that. But they also know that if you want to compare it, in general, there's going to be maybe one cop for every 20 to 35 protesters. So the cops are outnumbered. Now people are going to adhere to the protest laws of curfew. They're going to do that. But not laws, but the state arranged laws of curfew, or the county. And the protesters, they'll thin out because of that. It's like, oh, well, it's 8 p.m. or it's 10 or it's 11 p.m. It's time to go home because of the curfew. We don't want to be out and get in trouble. When the whole point was to get in trouble. The whole point of the protest was to show how much trouble you can stir up in the face of this hypocrisy, this brutality, this murder, this two-tier justice system. That's what you were supposed to be doing. The idea of you out there is to raise hell for all of these corporations, all of these politicians, all of these police officers, and let them know that everything that they've been doing and espousing and working for is literally anti-social, literally to destroy people's lives in favor of money. And they want you to lose sight on that. That's what they want. So here's my thoughts, my opinions. Here they go. These just in my opinion. That's all this is, my opinion. Screw the curfew. The curfew should be that one thing when you just say, I am really going to get more people out here. We will stand together against your curfew. I think that's where that should be. I don't think you should listen to a curfew. I really don't. In my opinion, curfews are meant to, it's like the yellow light in the street, you know. You don't know where you're going. You probably have nowhere to go, but for some reason you have got to speed up and get past that light. And that's what a curfew signal to me is. You know, because if I were able to be out there and protesting, and someone talked about a curfew, oh, it's 10 o'clock, we got a curfew, I'd be like, man, fuck that curfew. It is time to shout louder. That's what I would be saying. I would say that. Shout louder. March stronger. You know, get in front of these little well-to-do places and let them know you are here. That's how I would want things to be. And I think that's how it should be. You're not children. You're not. Don't let them treat you like children. So please, fight harder. Stay focused. The curfew is just to get the ruling elite a break from you. No. They don't deserve a break. They deserve outright protesting, harassment of their ears and their comfort zones until they give in and treat people decently, treat people fairly, remove the 2-tier and 3-tier justice system, remove the racist cops, remove all this crap, redo it. That's what needs to be done. We need a curfew on the politicians. Oh yeah, every 2 years they can do something. No. It needs to be a curfew that can be thrown up at any given time and just say, it doesn't matter. When we feel that you have failed, we can vote you out immediately and vote somebody else in. You don't have to have that comfort of 2 years. No. Remove that. Remove that. It should be as we see fit. Just like these corporations and politicians have done, they can do stuff as they see fit. We need to get you in and out of those offices as we see fit. That's what I think should happen. And with that said, I will end my time. This is Sidra Kennedy for Comparative Reasoning. Thank you for listening.